Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for clicking a new video of mine. It means a lot that you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And I'm back. I did take a little hiatus, not really for a specific reason, just as much as honestly the show just wasn't doing it for me. I mean, I there's been times where I've been bored, and this isn't like the worst time in the new era. That there's been times where I've made videos just because I just felt like I needed to. But the last week I was just like, come on, there's just nothing to talk about here. This week, I think the episode, although kind of mid, was still good as far as just the strategy element, and that's why I decided that I will make a video about Danny's exit. And really, I'm going to cover his edit, his story so far, him going out, really all of it. With that being said, if you guys haven't already, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff because it's free, it's easy, and it really does help the channel out. Okay, so I guess I would start with how Danny's game started. Danny's game started great. He got a great edit at the start. It feels very similar to like a Jonathan edit, where he was shown to just be perfect at the start. Everybody loved him. He was physically strong. He was good with strategy. He had friends on his tribe in Heidi and Franny and Matt, and of course it looks great for him. He also is in opposition to Claire, who goes home. It's just great pre-merge. He gets to the merge. He starts to kind of be connected to Brandon, who is being built up for a blindside edit. And when that eventually comes to fruition, it basically becomes his tribe, the Soka members, versus the Ratu Orange tribe, which of course puts him in a bad spot here, because whenever it's you versus them, there's always like a third party that comes in and mows you both down. And that is the Tika tribe with Carolyn and Jam and Carson. And so it leaves him in a horrible spot. Now, it isn't horrible at first though, because he's able to flip the Tikas several times towards his side. And when he isn't, he plays the idol for Franny here. I think the downfall of Danny's game kind of sits in a few categories. The first of which being that he does not keep Heidi on his side at all. Heidi, for whatever reason, decides to flip on him at like final 9, which is like, if you're gonna have like that close ally, you would hope to at least make it to the finale before they blindside you, or maybe like the episode before the finale. I mean, something, because when they're trying to blindside you literally 2 or 3 episodes into the merge, that's not very good. And so Danny, of course, having that ally that is very rogue and tries to blindside him, and is also a very good strategical player, not the best, but definitely better compared to the people around her like Jamie and Lauren. It's not very good for his game. I think if he had tried to go farther with more weaker players at the merge, even if they're from different tribes, even if it means keeping around Franny and Matt as a couple, I'm down, because Franny and Matt are much weaker and less strategically able than people like Heidi, who of course end up taking him out here, at least being a part of that vote. And so, of course, that is one problem. The second problem I have is his idol play. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Obviously, my co-host on my podcast, The Bitter Juror, hates this move. He says that really all he does is save someone, and then at the end of the day, the person goes home soon after, and then he goes. And I can't really argue against that point. But with that being said, I do think the specific part of that's bad isn't necessarily Danny playing the idol, it's the aftermath. Think of Kelly Wentworth when she plays her idol. She plays one idol, has a successful idol play, the whole Wentworth will not count moment, and then she goes the entire game using just her social game. She doesn't, Ben bomb her way to the end. She plays the next, I believe, 9 rounds after that with her social game to get all the way to Final 4, which is super duper impressive. And it shows that it's not just about the idol play. There's an extra element there as far as the social game post idol play. Danny plays a game after his idol play that to me is really flawed. He aligns with the wrong people, and he doesn't keep solid with Franny, the person who he wasted his own idol on. If he's going to go Soka versus Ratu and save Franny, he has to stick with Franny and Heidi. For him to be so okay with Franny going home, to me is silly. Like the idea that he's not fighting tooth and nail to make sure that Franny stays in the game is just puzzling to me, because he wastes an idol, the most important thing in the game aside from his vote, on Franny. That should be his entire motive right now. Drag Franny to the end and beat her as a goat, especially now that her boyfriend's gone. There's nothing in your way. So to see, of course, him not save Franny and basically just let her go is stupid to me. And then on top of that, I think that him going so hard, Sokka versus Ratu, is also not good. Now, of course, I think this was over exaggerated in the edit. Like, for example, when Franny offers to blindside a Tika member and Danny's shown just saying, "What? No, that's so stupid." That, just think with your brain. Like, obviously, I'm sure he wasn't that against it and they just made him look dumb there. But I'm sure he was to some extent against a Tika blindside, which I don't really get. I mean, at the end of the day, the people in the middle are the most powerful. And so to see Tika flip back and forth and now be at the final 6 with 3 members, I don't know how they don't stop and say, why are we letting them get this far? To me, I think that's another flaw of his game, is not focusing on the Tika members who eventually flipped on him. Of course, I've kind of torn apart his game so far. Let's talk about the positives here. He controlled his tribe. He was the best player on his pre-merge tribe by far. When Claire tried to get Oppi with him, he just took her out, plain and simple, without really having to do the dirty work. Most of the dirty work was done there by Heidi being in the middle. I think he managed the couple on his tribe very well, where he and Heidi were able to not go against the couple so much, whereas in work with them, which I think was a very smart play, because that's 2 guaranteed numbers at the merge, because they're of course going to want to stick to somebody since they're a giant threat being a couple. So I think that's also great for his game. I also think something else that's great for his game is he kept his threat level really, really low before the idol play. I didn't really hear much talk of Danny going home before his idol play. Of course, that kind of put him on the map. It was more of, guys like Brandon getting talk of being threats in the game as far as physical challenges go. So that's really, really hard, especially with him looking how he does and being muscular and buff. For him to keep that threat level down and not be a giant threat for the most part of the merge, I think is really, really impressive as well. I'll also say that towards the end, it was pretty clear the show needed a villain, and they made Danny that villain. I don't think it's necessarily so true or valid, but at the end of the day, a villain is needed, and Danny did fulfill that role. So I do appreciate Danny's contribution here, being that villainous character, even if he's really a nice guy in general. And the rest of the people here are just so painfully boring, aside from Carolyn and Jam Jam, that they just needed somebody to fill a role as a villain. I think they really tried to show anything that he said towards the end as being just controversial and abrasive. For an example, there's a moment where he points out that the people who are quote unquote sitting out for the tribe to get rice for themselves are doing it for themselves, not the tribe, which is 1000% true objectively. There's no opinion. That is true. And of course, the show puts the little Hell's Kitchen screech in the background to make him look stupid, when in general, that's a very smart thing. So I really do applaud Danny at many different times in this season, just simply speaking the truth when the truth was not being spoken around him. But what do you guys think? Do you guys like Danny? Let me know down below in the comments. As always, none of this happens without you guys. Without you guys, I'm just a weird guy speaking to a microphone. And that's, I'll talk to you guys in the next one.